Hey everyone, it's Dazzy again. Now I'm finally going to attempt to review Moving On this time, which is the 15th episode of season 2 of School. I'm going to attempt to do it this time, and I've got notes here, so if you hear me turning pages, that's because I wrote down like 5 or 6 pages of notes. But I first wanted to address the picture I chose for to put on this video. It's Emma Stone eating ice cream. It's exactly how I felt after I watched this episode because it broke me in so many ways. I just wanted to eat pints and pints of ice cream, gallons and gallons of ice cream. When the episode opens, Lainey's talking about the movie Swingers, which I've never seen, but I love Jon Favreau because of what he's done, with Iron Man and the Marvel movies and also The Mandalorian because I'm a huge Star Wars fan and have been since I was 5 years old and saw Return of the Jedi. Just loved that movie because I love the Ewoks, but that's that's another story. But I love Jon Favreau for what he's done, recently. But I'm not really that big of a fan of Vince Vaughn, but I've never seen the movie Swinger, so I can't really comment on that. But the Swingers fashion, I'm not really a fan of that either, especially the men's fashion. I'm not very a fan of that. But the women's fashion's pretty cool. The dresses were amazing that they wore in the episode that Wilma and Julie wore in the episode were very, very pretty, and I love dresses, so that would definitely fit my style. We learn about Lainey's student Claudia, and this student, this I really connected with Claudia because that is exactly what I used to dress like in the 90s. In middle school and high school, I mean, I dressed in black, flannel, combat boots. I wore Pearl Jam and Nirvana. I love grunge. I'm a big grunge fan. I love The Cure too, which she even mentioned she liked The Cure. Just that was me to a T, the way I dressed. And my husband even said, "That's you." I was like, "Yep, it sure was," because we've known each other forever since we were kids. But I wouldn't dare dress like that nowadays because, that's just not who I am anymore. But definitely would have dressed a lot like her in middle school and high school, or I did. But then we learn, after she leaves the notebook behind in Lainey's room, that she's got daggers for her mother because of certain things she won't let her do, and she embarrassed her, and you find that out later. But Lainey's able to connect with her in that way because she had issues with her mother leaving at an early age, and she goes to Glasscott and asks him for help, and he cracked me up with his poems and his nickname Furious G. I love Tin Meadows. He's so hilarious, and I've watched him when I was younger on SNL, so I've been a big fan of his for years. He's just very funny, and he has good comic timing, and he's just a hilarious guy. But so he told her, you're the one that's going to have to deal with it. You're the one that's going to have to connect with her because you have history with your mother, like she does. So I love that Lainey dressed like her and was saying all these things like, don't you just hate the sun? It was so funny when she said that. But it did get her attention. It did get Claudia's attention. So, and I love that the talk that they had about, no matter how bad you think you've got it with your mom, I had it 10 times worse. And she left us. And that's why I don't really celebrate Christmas anymore, because she left on Christmas. And the mention of, I kind of like squealed a little bit when Claudia mentioned Fashion Bug, because I remember going to that store when I was a kid, when I was a teenager. I remember being dragged there by my grandmother to try on clothes and to buy, and I hated it, but because that just wasn't my style either. So I connected with Claudia there. I totally understand that. Later, when Lainey took Claudia to the poetry reading, her reaction to Claudia, making amends with her mother, and she was able to connect with her, and now she's writing poetry about her brother who she hates. And I just kind of felt like Lainey kind of projected her own problems onto Claudia and wanted Claudia to voice her own frustrations with her mother and her own, unresolved issues with her mother through Claudia. It was kind of like she was projecting a little bit and not really wanting to deal with her on her own. So I thought that was a really, really deep moment And I really got that. And I really appreciate school for doing that, because there's a lot of people out there, especially young girls, that don't connect with their mother or think their mother's trying to smother them. Barely. But a lot of people think that. But, I really think they're doing a good job with all these deep stories that they're getting into. I really, really like that. And I like that they're bringing the kids in more and having the teachers help them deal with their issues too, because I try to do that too as a teacher. I try to help my students with their problems, at a distance, but I still try to help them. And then Lainey went home and called her dad. And I really like that, because they're starting to deal with Lainey's issues. And I have a feeling that Rockstar is going to show her dealing with her struggle and realization that she never really became a famous singer, which she always wanted to. And they haven't really dealt with that on the show. They did in the first season a little with the CB Likes Lainey episode, where she wanted to go to the gig instead of being there for Anna at the talent show. But they kind of dealt with that, but they didn't really deal with it a whole lot. They just kind of let it go for a while. But I'm excited to see what other issues that they're going to let Lainey deal with. Barry. But I just want to see what other issues they're going to deal with her. So let's move on to CB now. I love his eagerness to volunteer. And that was kind of funny that nobody else volunteered. And he was like, I'll do it, and that is so true with teachers. I don't know, if you were a teacher or not, but when somebody asks teachers to do things, we're already so overwhelmed with all we have to do with grading papers. And now we have technology that kids use, and having to do hallway duty and all this other stuff we have to do. Meetings after school, meetings during our planning, which sometimes we have to cover other teachers too during our planning, which is kind of bad. It's kind of bad on our part, because we don't get to plan everything we need to or get everything done. But I can totally sympathize with the other teachers for not wanting to do it. And there's always that one teacher who does everything, and you always like, ugh. And CB is that one, I guess. And he said something about not going out dancing with Wilma because he wanted to grade papers on a Friday night. Oh, hell no. I would not grade papers on a Friday night. I hate grading papers with a passion. Sometimes I even throw stacks of papers in the recycling bin. Don't tell my students, but I throw them away all the time because I just want to avoid grading, and I never talk about it again. I'll just throw in the recycle bin, never to be seen again. But and the part with CB gardening, how freaking cute was that? I mean, he's just so cute. He didn't even take off his tie. He just slung it over his shoulder. Oh, he's so cute. I love CB so much. And that whole joke about Meller's balls in Will's face when he said that. Oh my gosh. I just had to laugh at that. And then we see Wilma in Julie's office, and Rick and Julie talk about CB and about how he's trying to distract himself. And Julie's like, is this about his crush on Lainey? And Rick's like, which? I love Rick so much. He just cracks me up. Oh, and what an amazing actor Brian Callen is. I mean, I know he's a stand-up comedian. I've never seen him before, but I would so pay to see him. He's just hilarious. Oh, I love Rick so much. And Rick and Julie, how cute are they? Oh, they're so sweet in that one episode, the Femaler episode, when they kissed and they told each other they loved them. Oh, they're just so sweet. Oh, I love them. I hope they get married by the end of the season, because I really think it will happen soon, because I know Rick wants to be a dad, and I think it's going to happen soon. But Rick says he wants everyone to have Julie. I think that was hilarious. But Rick kind of gets a group of women together, and I totally would be that woman in the front row, to give the first bid. I'd be like, I'll take CB for $20. I would try to outbid all the other girls. Just don't tell my husband. But I would definitely be in the running. I would definitely want my shoe in the ring or a hat in the ring. But, he tells them, thank you for what you did, but I have a girlfriend. Her name's Annabelle. And I seriously, the first thing I thought of when I heard Annabelle was that demonic doll movie. I was like, oh no. I was like, the first thing I thought of, I almost spit out my drink. But I know he was lying, and I knew Wilma just saw straight through it. I knew he was making excuses, but then she went to his apartment, which looks very similar to the one he used to have, the one that burned down. But I know, I'm just putting that out there. Um, but he said that, he was over his whole crush on Lainey. And I don't think I heard anything else for at least 5 minutes after that. And I posted that gift of Joseph Gordon-Levitt from 500 Days of Summer, breaking plates. I'm like, that's all I heard. And I could not stop thinking of that. I'm like, he's over his crush. Oh my gosh. I was so upset. I think I cried a little, but I know he's got to move on, at some point. And he also said, that his crush on Lainey reminded him that not everything outside of teaching is guaranteed success for him. And that just broke my heart. Oh my gosh. It just, CB, you're amazing and we love you. Just wanted to scream that at him, and he's a winner in all of our books. And then you see him coming in from getting his laundry, and he's folding his clothes, and he's listening to his answer machine messages, and it was just the cutest scene. Oh my gosh, his face, when he heard them trying to get him to come to the party, and Rick is so funny saying, it's Rick Meller. He's like, what other Rick would he know? I just love Rick. And then they're going, CB, CB. I just felt like that was all of us, cheering him on. You got to go be out with your friends. Have fun, CB. I felt like that was all of us cheering him on. At the end, where they go swing dancing, when he walked in, all slow-mo, and that song came on, it literally took my breath away. He was just so handsome, and he was wearing that tank top under his shirt, under his shirt there, and I was like, whew, I had to fan myself. So it's a good thing my husband was not in the room at the time, because I was definitely drooling for sure. He was very, very handsome. But they looked like they had a great time at the party, and I was a little disappointed because they didn't show Brett breakdancing, which they teased so much on Twitter and in the promos, which maybe they did that because they just didn't have time to put it in the episode and they had to cut it out, and they just kind of teased it with that. But I really wanted to see him do the breakdancing, because that, I love when Brett does that. Then you see him talking to a girl, a very pretty girl, and he holds up her number. And I hate to admit this, but I actually paused that part, and I went up to the screen and I looked at the note or the napkin that he'd written the number on, so I could see if it said her name, because I wanted to know, who's this girl? What's her name? I was like, I want to know who she is. But it only had a number on it, 555 something. So I wanted to see, who she was. But this made me so red with jealousy. I was so mad. I'm not going to lie, because you guys all know I want him to be with Lainey, and I know he has to move on, but damn, that hurt so bad to see him doing that. I was Joseph Gordon-Levitt again, breaking those plates again. I was just so, oh Lord. I'm happy for him though. But just for me, I want him to be with Lainey, so that kind of broke my heart. I do hope we get to see him date though in the future, because I want Lainey to be jealous out of her mind. But I do want to see him date. I want to see how, he is with a girl. I think that would be kind of cute. By the way, if you look closely at the part in his apartment when he's folding clothes, or either it's with Wilma, I can't remember. But if you look in the background, like on his little shelf he has in the background, you can see the Swanee boombox that Lainey got him in the Friendsgiving episode, which just made me fangirl so hard, because she gave that to him because his apartment burned down, and gave him all this little stuff, that she could afford, just to help him get back some of the things he lost. And I just love that scene in Friendsgiving. So sweet. And he goes, did you just say Swanee? I just love that whole part. And Wilma and Johnny Atkins, are they like a thing? I mean, I remember the Titanic episode, she was like, the Titanic Love episode, she was like, and they're like, don't, Johnny Atkins. They're all disgusted with it. But I said, I actually like it. I'm totally on board with it. I would never have guessed that they would even get together. I was shipping, Wilma with other people, or Rick, even thinking about Rick before Julie came in. But I am definitely on board with Wilma and Johnny Atkins. I think that would be kind of interesting relationship if they did go there. I actually gave it, we put it in one of my fix and because the night. So um, the song choice from this episode, and I totally thought they were going to do ska. I thought that was going to be their big music theme instead of the Swingers movie. But they actually did "You Get What You Give" by the New Radicals, which actually I think it fit CB's character and his arc that he had in this episode. I think it fit him a lot better. Maybe even a little bit with Lainey too. And just looking forward to next week. Next week we have a new episode coming on, which is hard to believe. It's almost been a month since we've had an episode. It's crazy. The next episode is called Rockstar, and it says that we know that Lainey becomes kind of competitive with Wilma because she thinks she sings better than her. And I'm thinking they may do, since it says Rockstar, I'm thinking they may deal with her issues of not being a rock star, that her her plans of becoming a rock star didn't pan out. And I think that's what they're going to deal with it a little bit. And wouldn't it be so cool? Yeah, I've seen the promo pictures of them singing together on stage and that beautiful salmon coral color of all the dresses that the girls and the guys are wearing, the outfits the guys are wearing. It's a beautiful color. I was thinking, maybe they're going to do the song "What's Up" by Four Non Blondes, because AJ mentioned it in a interview with her and Brett. So I'm thinking maybe because they could both sing it together, and I think Wilma's voice would be really good for the chorus part. But what I was thinking is, wouldn't it be cool if at the end of the concert, Lainey is all happy, that her and Wilma have made up. They were competitive in the beginning and now they've made up. And so wouldn't it just be cool? Because I have a shipper's heart. At the heart of me, I have a shipper's heart. Wouldn't it be cool if if she looked over and saw CB with another girl? And what if that, she's all happy, about her and Wilma making up, and then she looks over and sees CB, and maybe he puts his arm around her, or he's holding her hand or something, and it just makes her frown and makes her completely upset. Now that's just my dream, but maybe it's not going to happen. But that's just a little idea that I had. Maybe it will happen in this episode, maybe not. But it kind of makes me think CB is not going to be in this episode because it talks about Wilma and Lainey and Rick and Julie trying to parent Toby. So I'm not sure if he's going to be in the episode or not, but which we'll see. But I'm excited to see it just because, to see what happens between her and Wilma and Rick and Julie. So I'm really excited about that. And I guess I'll go ahead and just give my bottom line about moving on. I'll give it 5 out of 5 stars, even though it upset me deeply to see CB say that he got over his crush, that he didn't think that things outside of teaching were successful for him, and he also met that girl at the party. So those are the things that I didn't like about the episode. Even though I did, it's kind of one of those love-hate things that you like it, but you don't like it at the same time. And I also, like the storyline between Claudia and Lainey. I think that's really going to be a good thing for Lainey to kind of get over her whole issues with her mom. So that's just my whole little review of Moving On, and I hope you enjoyed it. And just let me know in the comments if you did or like it, or subscribe, whatever you want to do. Doesn't matter to me. Come say hi on Tumblr and Twitter. And that links are down below. And I'll see you next time. I guess I'll do one on Rockstar when it's over. Peace out.